What's your favorite dark humor joke? There was once a missionary preaching in a small African tribe. The people there loved him, and every day more were converted. But one day, a white baby was born to one of the women in the tribe. The chief immediately sent for the missionary and demanded to know why he had broken the commandments he had so lovingly taught to his people. The missionary, having been a devout Christian his entire life, asked to see the child. Upon viewing the baby, it became clear that this baby was an albino. The missionary attempted to explain this to the chief, saying, "Chief, this child suffers from a condition of the skin which changed its color to white. As an example, look upon your flocks of sheep. All are white, except for one which is black." The chief cuts him off, saying, "Okay, I won't tell about the baby if you don't tell about the sheep." A boy walks in on his father masturbating. The boy, curious, asks him, "Dad, what are you doing?" The father replies, "This is called masturbating, and pretty soon you will be doing it also." The kid, puzzled, asks, "How do you know that?" The father goes, "Because my arm is getting tired." Apostrophe. A young cowboy walked into a seedy cafe in a small town in West Texas. He sat down at the counter and noticed an older cowboy with his arms folded, staring blankly at a bowl of chili. After about 15 minutes of just sitting there staring at it, the young cowboy bravely asked, "If you ain't going to eat that, do ya mind if I do?" The older cowboy slowly turned his head toward the young wrangler and in his best cowboy manner said, "Ma, go ahead." Eagerly, the young cowboy reached over and slid the bowl over to his place and started spooning it in with delight. He got nearly down to the bottom before noticing a rotten dead rat in the chili. The sight was shocking, and he immediately upchucked the chili into the bowl. The old cowboy quietly said, "Yep, that's as far as I got to." Apostrophe. A woman is at the top of a cliff working up the nerve to jump to her death when a smelly homeless person walks up and says, "Hey lady, if you are going to jump, why don't we have sex first?" And she yells, "No, get away from me." So the homeless guy says, "Fine, I'll just wait at the bottom." Apostrophe. What's the difference between an ISIS training camp and a Pakistani elementary school? And NBSP? I don't know, man. I just fly the drone. A guy calls in sick to work. His boss doesn't believe him and calls him back. Boss says, "You don't sound sick." Guy answers, "I'm in bed ducking my sister. Is that sick enough for you?" The elderly Jew won the lottery and gave a portion of the winnings to a neo-Nazi organization. When asked how he could do such a thing, he revealed his tattoo and said the Nazis gave him the winning numbers. Having recently lost my job, I have been volunteering my spare time up at the local child cancer ward, and in doing so have become good friends with a young 10-year-old boy called Jimmy. I sit with him and hold his hand as he has his chemotherapy, take him to the movies when he is feeling well enough, and what little spare money I have I spend on toys for him. Today he asked me if I will still come to visit him when he leaves the hospital. Not a chance, I replied. I ducking hate cemeteries. A man goes to the pharmacy and says, "I need condoms for my 12-year-old daughter." The pharmacist asks, "Is your daughter is sexually active?" The dad says, "No, she just lays there like her mother." I recently learned that pigeons die sometimes during sex. The one that I ducked last night did. Anyway. What do sex and vegetables have in common? If you're forced to have it when you're young, you won't enjoy it as an adult. Edit, Grandma. What's the difference between a bag of cocaine and a baby? Eric Clapton would never let a bag of cocaine fall out of the window. Why don't black people go on cruises? BCZ, they're not falling for that one again. Give man a fire and you'll warm him for a day. Set a man on fire and you'll warm him for the rest of his life. What do gay men call an upside down chair? Table for four. Two morticians were out having lunch. 1. I had this one girl yesterday whose clitoris was just like a pickle. 2. Really? That big? 1. No. That's salty. What's race car backwards? Race car. What's race car sideways? Paul Walker. If Marilyn Monroe were alive right now, what would she be doing? Clawing at the lid of her coffin. I believe this was in the Fight Club book. Feel free to swap her name out with any other celeb that's died in the past few years. April 1st and a woman is delivering her first child. It's been a long, intense and painful labor. Finally the doctor reaches down, says, "Give me one big push," and brings out the baby. Then he slams it on the ground, grabs the umbilical cord and starts swinging it over his head. Let's go, and it flies and slams into the wall. Lady is freaking out. "Oh my god, my baby. What are you doing? Stop. Stop." The doctor calmly goes to the wall, picks up the baby, looks at the lady and says, "Hey, chill out. It's an April Fool's joke. I didn't harm your kid. He was already dead when he was born." Apostrophe. Man walks into a Spanish restaurant, orders the Rocky Mountain oysters, testicles, and gets these 2 huge delicious bull balls. The man proceeds to come back every day for lunch during that week, but on Friday he's given 2 tiny balls and he asks the waiter what the deal is, and he says, "Oh my friend, sometimes the bull wins." I masturbate because I'm the only person with standards low enough to duck me. Bo Burnham. A gorilla walks into a bar and orders a banana martini. The bartender thinks this is a bit strange, then realizes he is actually dreaming. He wakes up and begins to tell his wife about the ridiculous dream he just had, but his wife just ignores him. The man turns and begins to sob as he realizes his marriage is in shambles. Family checking into a hotel. Receptionist, "Have a lovely stay, sir." Father, "Thank you." On the TV, "Is the porn disabled?" Receptionist, "No, it's regular porn. You sick duck." Heroin. "It's a terrible drug, but it's done wonders for my record collection." Doctor, "I have good news and bad news." Patient, "Tell me the good." Doctor, "You have 24 hours to live." Patient, "What on earth could be worse news than that?" Doctor, "I found out yesterday and forgot to tell you." Helen Keller once described a cheese grater as the most violent books she ever read. Apostrophe. Why do sumo wrestlers shave their legs? To make sure they aren't mistaken for feminists. What's the best part about ducking 21-year-olds? There's 20 of them. What pickup line works each time? "Excuse me, does this rag smell like chloroform to you?" Hey, why did Sally fall off the swing? Because she has no arms. Knock knock. Who's there? Not Sally. A guy is driving down the road and sees an overturned car with a kid crawling out of it. He slams on the brakes and runs over and asks the kid if he's okay. "There was a car wreck and I hid my head. And I think my mommy and daddy are dead," sniffles the kid. The guy unzips his pants and says, "Well, this just isn't your day, is it?" Why did the monkey fall out of the tree? Because I shot it in the face. Why did the second monkey fall out of the tree? Because it was stapled to the first monkey. Why did the third monkey fall out of the tree? Peer pressure. What's big and white and falls from the sky? A refrigerator. Why did Sally fall off the swing? Because she was killed by 3 falling monkeys and a refrigerator. Anything can be used as a dildo, as long as you're brave enough. Abraham Lincoln. A guy rushes to the emergency room to find that his wife has been in a horrible accident. The doctor comes out and says it's bad. She's paralyzed. She's in a persistent vegetative state and will require round-the-clock care. She's brain dead, and even if she miraculously recovers, she'll never be herself and will likely never walk, speak, or eat solid food again. "Oh my god," says the man. "That's horrible." "Just kidding. She's dead." What's the opposite of Christopher Reeve? Christopher Walken. So a girl with no arms and no legs is sitting by a pool. A boy walks past her. She looks up at the boy and says, "No one wants to screw me because I'm missing arms and legs. Would you please do me the honor?" The boy looks down at her. He pushed her into the pool and says, "There, now you're ducked." Apostrophe. A lawyer and a priest went into an orphanage It caught on fire. The lawyer yelled, "Let's get out of here." The priest said, "What about the children?" Lawyer replied, "Duck the children." And the priest muttered, "Do we have enough time?" Life is like a big box of jelly beans. Nobody likes the black ones. Or what is the difference between a suicide vest and a feminist? One accomplishes something when it is triggered. My favorite sexual position is called the Hindenburg. It's when you're ducking a chick from behind on a hotel balcony, so she's holding onto the railing. Just after you finish, you douse her in gasoline, light her on fire and push her over the railing while screaming, "Oh, the humanity." I called the rape advice helpline. Turns out it's just for victims. A pregnant woman is involved in a car accident. She wakes up 2 days later, and the doctor tells her he has good and bad news about her baby. Okay, tell me the bad news first. So the doctor says, "I'm afraid the baby was ginger," so she says, "And the good news? It died an hour ago." Sorry to all the ginger people reading this. My daughter is actually a beautiful ginger. And yes, I'm aware that makes me finding that joke funny even worse. I was telling dark jokes with some friends a while ago, and the classic "what's worse than finding a worm in your apple" came up. Now, you may know this, but there are two answers. A. Finding half a worm in your apple. And B. The Holocaust. Being the colossal dumbass that I am, my brain combined the two into finding the Holocaust in your apple. I felt dumb. You know nothing about pain. I mean nothing about pain. Until your own child drowns in the tub. And you definitely don't know anything about how to wash a baby. Anthony Jeselnik, a.k.a. guy who is a little too on the nose for this thread. Why can't you fool an aborted fetus? It wasn't born yesterday. How many dead hookers does it take to change a light bulb? I'm not sure, but it's more than 7, because my basement is still dark as dark. What do Dale Earnhardt and Pink Floyd have in common? Their last big hit was The Wall. I like my women like I like my hamburger. Ground up, dead, and cooked. Why do women have legs? So they can come to the bed from the kitchen. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.